What's on, guys? Jay Hoyd back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 16 of our franchise mode with the Anaheim Ducks. We are back here at the start of the offseason, and we are right before the draft. Of course, we already know who won both the Stanley Cup and the Calder Cup. Obviously, we were in the finals versus the Buffalo Sabres. If you guys missed last episode, I know it's a little bit of a longer one, but most definitely worth it. Right, we had a bit of a struggle, right, losing three of our biggest players in Ehlers, in Pelech, and in Sorokin. You know, we fought as well as we could, but we just didn't get it done at the end. So, going into the offseason, I kind of want to give you an initial plan of what I want to do. So, of course, the only really way to see this is looking at our trade block. So, on here, we'll start with the least important player first. I think his name is Ryan Poehling, not exactly sure. But we acquired him last year in the hopes of finding almost like a fourth line forward. And he didn't really fit our scheme, and we ended up getting Devin Shore. So he did have another year on his contract. He has a little bit of trade value, and like I said, he doesn't really fit our team. So probably not going to keep him around. We might be able to get a draft pick out of him, and then, you know, that's pretty much it, right? Trade him for a draft pick. Our next player is Jake DeBrusk. Now, he did jump up in overall, and this is one that if I can find the right deal, maybe I'll do it. But I'm not necessarily looking to go out of my way to force a trade through, because as we've seen, obviously in his last year in Boston and then coming over to us, he can score goals, he can get points. He's not going to be a top line player on our team, but he can get points. The only problem is we also have a lot of people that can get a lot of points. So we might have to trade him. We might not, depending on the trade, depending on what we get. That's all going to be. I'm not going to go out of my way to force a trade through, like I said earlier. But the next one, most likely, I will say almost definitely will be getting rid of is Esa Lindell. I feel like every single franchise mode, somehow, some way, he always ends up with our team. And although he did okay, right? It's not like a lack of performance or anything. Just, he's making a lot of money, and I know we did that kind of on purpose, but he doesn't really fit our scheme, and he's going to be playing third line with us, so not really feeling too hot with him. Plus, we have a lot of left-handed defensemen that are going to want a spot in the NHL next year. Plus, if we can get someone that would fit our scheme a little bit better, that would be more than perfect. So, like I said, Poehling, definitely gone. Try to get a draft pick out of him. Lindell, hopefully a draft pick, maybe something else, depending on what comes up. DeBrusk, I mean, that is a lot of trade value, so depending on what we can get back, maybe we'll trade him. But right now, that's how we're looking. So actually, I wanted to stay there because I wanted to show you guys the rest of the team. So we take a quick look through our forwards, right? We had pretty much every you can see on the top here, on top of Poehling, that all run our team last year in the NHL, which I don't really feel like we need to change that, right? We did really well. Left wings, we have to re-sign Ehlers this year. That's going to be a pretty penny on the books. And, you know, we have our pretty much top four already there. Obviously, I'd like to get Tracy in our lineup somewhere. But again, it's just, we have a lot of good players right now. And it's hard to fit him in there for sure. Our right wing situation, I mean, we have our top three. You know, obviously we can use a fourth liner if we find a decent one. If not, I mean, what was his name? King, I think it was. Yeah, this King guy, he did pretty well. So I'm not really going to, you know, again, force a move out of him. Defensively, I mean, Pelech, Drysdale, Mitkov, Fabro, and then we're kind of finding a third line, which isn't that hard. We have this guy, for sure. We have Riley Walsh, who did well last year. We have Andre, who's been making a name for himself in the AHL. Plus, we still have Lindell if we don't find a trade for him. Plus, we have Martinson. We have Bentley. I mean, we have countless players that could fit in that third line role, but also free agencies coming up too. So we have plenty of options there for our defensemen. To our goaltender side, obviously, if you don't remember, we did re-sign Sorokin to, I think it was a $6 million 4-year deal, something like that. So he is under contract. Actually, can we see it from the screen? Apparently not. But yeah, it's like 4 years at $6 million, so it's a little bit under what he's making now. Well, basically a quarter of what he's, well, 3/4 of what he's making now. Along with, we have Dostal up there. We have Stellaris, who's been a really solid depth goaltender, if you will. He's always wanted a really low contract. But also, we have 3 other goaltenders who can more than fill that role. Obviously, if they're young, I want them playing. But at the same time, Stellaris has been a good player for us. And, you know, it's hard because I want him to play. But at the same time, like when you have Sorokin and Dostal there, it's kind of hard to get him in for playing time. So, of course, we have Diagle down here. Diagle, I don't really know who he is. But a second-round draft pick along with all those players that we did get. A lot of those players are getting to be really close to being ready to be signed or to be, you know, put into a good role. So we kind of have our thing. We don't really have any big, you know, super important needs. And this, of course, is going to be the offseason. So this is going to include the draft, the re-sign stage, everything. So without further ado, let's get into the draft and see if we can find some good trades for Pooling and for Lindell. I mean, the best we can do for Pooling is a 5th-round draft pick. There was a couple of trades that seemed a little bit interesting, whether it was for a forward or for a pick and another player, but it didn't really make sense, and it didn't really fit what we were looking for. So, Pooling for a 5th sounds pretty good to me. So I guess I want to talk through this trade to see if it would make sense. So after, like I said, I wasn't really going to go out of my way to make a trade for DeBrusk, but just out of curiosity, I went in to find trade and just kind of see what was out there. So we have 11 trade packages, and some of them are pretty interesting. Now this Boston one I actually did look into a little bit. I would trade or change that prospect. There's another one that's like a similar kind of build of medium top 6 potential, but 22nd overall pick, okay, prospect, and a 3rd round pick. I mean, that's a pretty solid package out of all of them. Then there's the 16th overall pick, a 2nd round pick, and a prospect, which is like, okay, I mean, looking through the draft, obviously there's good young players, but also at the same time, in the middle of the 1st round, there's not really a lot of like NHL ready players. So you have to be either in like the top 10 or around our pick in the late 30s. There is a player that I want to get that I think I will get once we get there. But then other trades, Dano in a 3rd. I mean, we already have a really solid center core and not really feeling that. You know, prospect, couple of seconds, couple of seconds, and another prospect, Same type of thing as like the other deal, a 1st, a 2nd, and a prospect, 26 prospects, like all these trades are really interesting. Then we had like Erik Karlsson in a 3rd round pick, but also Erik Karlsson's like what, 35 years old, something like that. So not really a direction I want to go. Or the last one, and probably the most interesting one, is a straight up for the 7th overall pick. Now, you may be wondering, okay, why would you be thinking about the 7th overall pick? Well, if we go look at these, so all of the players that I pinned are all pretty much NHL ready or within a year or so. So if we were to pick 7th, and assuming they kind of go in order, I mean, 4th overall, 5th overall, 6th overall, 7th overall, we're here, and this guy's not really scouted. 8th overall, you know, decent, but then we go back and there's a couple of like smaller centermen, more small centermen, which all probably will be good players. Go back some more, you get a right wing, but like our right wings are already pretty solid. Then you keep going down, and there's just none of these guys are actually ready. So although I do find that trade interesting, I don't think I'm going to take it. And although I feel like it'd be a pretty good trade, I don't want to do it, right? I feel like maybe once free agency comes up, maybe we'll change our mind. But for now, we'll stick with them. Well, here we are, attempting to try to make a trade for Esa Lindell, and while trying to figure it out, we had a couple offers for a second round pick and a third round pick. However, the other one was for next year. So we're going to try to do this one for Ottawa. So the first three things in this trade all were part of the offer originally. Well, we added on another prospect there just to see if it goes through. If not, I'm not too worried. But will this go through? No. There it is. So we changed the prospect around for someone that we're actually going to be using. It does free up some salary for us as well, and we are still in it. So let's get through the draft and see what we're going to get in the first round. So with our first pick in the NHL draft, there's a lot of players up here that are small that could be something good in a few years. And unfortunately, the pick is already kind of sneaking in on the bottom of the screen, but none of these players up here really seem interesting at all. So there is one player down here, Bo Armstrong. If we take a look at him, top 6, medium potential, left wing, is 18, but he is going back to USA East, and he's all A's and B's across the board. So what I might try to do is, since we have the 31st overall pick, I might try to trade back just to get like the 35th overall pick and go from there, right? Get an extra pick on the board, maybe, just because like we're not going to pick anyone in the next like 7 picks or whatever this is, so might as well try to add an extra draft pick. Well, after further thought, we're just going to take him with the 31st overall pick, because I can't believe it, but I tried to trade the 31st overall pick back to the 35th to the Pittsburgh Penguins so it was our 31st overall for the 35th and a 7th round draft pick. So you'd move up 4 positions and you still didn't want to do it. I don't get it, right? I know in real life that would probably be like no question, but whatever. Bo Armstrong, welcome to the team. 76 overall, top 6, medium potential, looks good all around, good skating already, good puck skills already, working on everything else, good shooting. We'll take that. Oops, forgot to unpause the recording. But either way, we haven't done too much yet. We offered a couple people their qualifying offers. We released Devin Shore because he wanted way too much money. Like, I'm not paying a 4th liner $2.5 million. Just not going to happen. Other than that, yeah, we released a couple AHL guys. And I think that's all we've missed so far. So let's keep it going now that I remember how to do this whole YouTube thing. Either way, so the biggest signing of the entirety of our offseason is Nikolai Ehlers. And of course, he wants a crap ton of money. So I'm going to try to almost lowball him as far as an offer goes and hope he accepts it. And if not, we're going to try to sign him to the lowest money contract possible for probably a year. And then once he lowers his asking price, that's when we're going to swoop in and try to sign him for, a few years. So as far as our left wings go, so looking at next year, so assuming Ehlers will be back with us, which unless something drastic happens, he won't, but he will, right? We have Bertuzzi still, we have DeBrusk still, and then we have Inglis, who was our, first round pick? What was it, last year? 2 years ago. That we actually signed at the end of last year. He didn't actually play with us at all, with the exception of in the playoffs for the AHL team. So basically signed him, put him down there immediately, and he played. So he will be available to us this year. I'd like to get Tracy up in the NHL somehow, but I don't know how that's going to happen. And then we have a lot of young guys here. So maybe a couple of these guys will try to sign and we'll go from there. Or we might just wait until free agency and then maybe sign them right before the season, depending on what we find out. On to our right wing. So we sent Pro his qualifying offer is at like $850,000. If we don't try to sign him to that, he's going to want like $3 million. So For now, we're going to hit him with his qualifying offer. Well, I probably should address it that you didn't really see much of the free agency period because we didn't really do anything, honestly. We got a couple of depth guys, a couple of fill-in guys in the AHL. We'll probably still have to get a few more. But a lot of the free agency was trying to sign Perreault and Mitkov to contracts. And they're going into preseason with still no contracts. So we have lots of salary cap for them, so it's not the issue. It's just they don't really want to sign at a low contract. They both want like $2, $3, $4, $5 million, and I don't feel like they deserve it yet. But we'll have to spend some time and figure out why they are not accepting. But the really only things that you guys missed was nothing really happened on the center side. Nothing really happened on the left wing side. The only thing we got is Andre Kasha to a really good deal. 1 year, $800,000, 82 overall. He does fit on our team a little bit, so we're going to give him a chance during the preseason. But other than that, defensively, we kind of look exactly the same. Goaltenders, we look exactly the same. So, with the exception of two of our players not re-signing, we pretty much look exactly the same heading into this season. But with that being said, this is going to be our opening night roster for the preseason. So, yes, like we talked about, we still have pretty much the same team as we did last year. But we need some players to kind of, earn a spot, if you will. And a lot of those players are going to be in the lineup in this. So obviously some of them don't need to earn it, but some of them do for sure. Now, one of them being Braden Tracy, right? 25 years old, 82 overall, medium top 6 potential. He's got everything he needs to do on our team except perform in the NHL, right? He's done well in the AHL. 54 plus points in the last 4 years, and he's been solid for us, at least in the AHL, but we need him to translate that to the big club. We need him to translate that to Anaheim on our team. Now, given our team, it's going to be very difficult to do that from the fourth line, but at the same time, you got to start somewhere. So it's either send him down there, have him do well, but still be an 82 overall, but then he's still kind of stuck on the fourth line if he does come up. So this will be a big big preseason for him for sure. Stenberg, not necessarily fighting for a spot, but just kind of want to give him some play time up here and kind of see what he can do with playing with some big names. Andre Kasha, who we got, as a depth piece, we're going to give him a shot to earn a spot up here. Ben King, who was on our fourth line last year. Zane Ingles, I think it is. I don't really know. We signed him at the end of last year. One of our draft picks. Gonna see what he can do this preseason. Honestly, there's kind of like a 3, maybe 4-way tie or 4-way battle, I should say, for kind of that fourth line. In total. Was it Nathan? Yeah, Nathan Gosher, another player that's fighting for a fourth line spot, along with Graham Clark, and I think that's it. Defensively, let's see, we got pretty much a solid top 4, but then after that, our third line kind of is wide open. So, again, some more guys looking for spots, some more guys that are going to be trying to earn it, as you can see there, right? Drysdale, main reason he's in our preseason lineup and not sitting on the bench is because we need him to step up, right? He is solid at 33 points, 35 points. Obviously last year he did really well, but we need him to take that next step, right? Just up that a little bit and, be a dominant, offensive defenseman, because being 86 overall, medium elite potential, right? 6th overall pick 6 years ago. Like I said, he's done okay, but now we need him to just take that next step to get there, right? Ever since we've had him, we've been struggling with, the team in general, but 32 points is his first kind of full NHL season. Okay, go to the next season, improved a little bit, a few more points, tiny bit better plus minus. Then he kind of got a little bit better defensively, slowed down a tiny bit offensively, still struggled the next year with plus minus. And last year was his best year yet, right? Positive, or plus I should say, 36, 37 points. He did well. But when I see 37 points, I mean, like I said, it's decent, but it's not what we're expecting out of him, right? We're expecting a little bit more. But more guys looking to make spots and fight for it. So then we also have Dostal and Sorokin. Both those guys will be our guys. So they're just going to rotate through both of them in the preseason. Of course, some guys sitting out. So we have a preseason battle ahead of us. Lots of guys looking for spots. We have some players that kind of struggled last year, or we need them to take the next step, need them to step up their game a little bit and get to that level we know they can be at. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit the like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications on so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.